Bro, why is it so freaking hot out here? Dog, I'm about to freaking melt, bro. Listen, the way I'm using the Osmo Pocket 3 has changed. I'm not looking forward to getting in this truck, but gotta go to the bank. So here goes. Oh, holy cannoli. Oh my, do you hear that? I'm literally turning into freaking turkey bacon in this bad boy. But anyways, what's up y'all? It's Tight Shirt Terry Warfield. I'm back for another video. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Remember to be thankful for your freaking life today because you didn't have to have that. The next thing is this video is sponsored by Motion Array. I will tell you all about them in a second. And I'm gonna film this whole video with the Osmo Pocket 3. Let me get my seatbelt on, hold up. Okay, why you all in my face, bro? Back up. Side note, look how big this freaking screen is in this RAM. I just got this truck maybe like a month ago. That's 14.4 freaking inches. Anyways, I think for a lot of people, they get the point of the Osmo Pocket 3 wrong. The first thing we want to do, and I did the same thing, is fall into the everything needs to be cinematic bandwagon, right? I mean, I'm part of the problem because I made all those videos, and I do think there is a time and place to want to get the best looking footage out of the Osmo Pocket 3. And maybe you're just somebody who in general just wants the best looking footage out the Osmo Pocket 3. There's nothing wrong with that. I was that way for a while, but I think a lot of us forget the point of this camera. Point of the Pocket 3 is just to have something small that's quickly and easily deployable, that gives you better image quality than a cell phone. Maybe not a mirrorless camera, but it for sure looks better than a cell phone, and it's easy to use. It's got freaking tracking and a gimbal, so all your footage is smooth, and it's got a ton of smart features. So this is supposed to be a camera you literally just whip it out, and that sounded crazy, but you just take it out just to film the story and not focus so much on like the cinematic settings and all that other stuff. It's not even really made for it because it doesn't have like buttons and stuff all over. But again, I've fallen into that trap, and honestly, as of lately, I just haven't been doing that. So let me run to the bank real quick. $1 million. No, I'm just playing. It's $1,000. It's only 20s. Gotta deposit this, pay some bills with it. Let's go.
But I told her to pass the key. You gotta slow it down, girl. You moving too fast for me.
All right, I just left the bank. Y'all see how rich I am. Why do we even need to pay bills? Like, why can't we just freaking live for free? Anyways, real quick, I know we get into this obsession of like shutter speeds, ISOs, white balances, and all that, but the reality is, nobody cares about that. Has anybody ever looked at one of your videos like, oh, you know what? You didn't follow the 180-degree shutter roll, or your ISO shifter. Like, let's be honest, as long as the content is good, nobody freaking cares about any of this stuff. Now, I'm not saying, again, that there's no reason to not, you know, follow filmmaking techniques and stuff like that. I mean, example, maybe you just want to get some saucy footage of your truck, then maybe you should follow the 180-degree shutter rule and film and D-log him and all that stuff, right? Outside of that, I promise you, nobody freaking cares, bro. And as y'all see, I'm being watched over there. So because of that, I've decided at this point that I'm just gonna leave my Osmo Pocket 3 in just about freaking auto with a few small tweaks. So let me show you what those tweaks are real quick. Actually, let's get a cute Starbucks drink and talk about it.
Do you want the receipt for the voided out one?
Please. Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Then you were all set.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That looks tasty, but that is not mine. This is what I'm talking about right here. It's 92 degrees, and I'm still drinking hot coffee. That's pretty good, and this was probably a bad idea because I'm sweating literal freaking bullets. Let me tell you the issue with running cameras like the Osmo Pocket 3 in auto mode is the fact that it doesn't have a way to decrease the light coming into the camera except by using shutter speed. The issue with this on a day like today, where it's super bright, it's gonna max out the shutter speed at probably an 8,000th of a second, which the issue with that is it gives us really digital looking footage, especially when there's movement. So the only way to combat this is typically to either go somewhere where it's not as bright or to use an ND filter. The issue with the ND filters on the Osmo Pocket is they're freaking fiddly. You always gotta change them out. So ND16 here, ND32 over there, ND64 over there. And they do make a few variable ones, but they are trash, okay? So what I've done instead is put the Osmo Pocket 3 into auto with 2 caveats. The first caveat is I still use an ND filter. Now, I'm not out here swapping ND filters. I choose an ND16 during the day, not to go follow the 180-degree shutter rule. It's specifically so I can cut out some of the light coming into the Osmo Pocket 3. So without the ND filter on a day like today, it's maxing out at an 8,000th of a second. Well, if I put on the ND16, it's still doing auto everything. So still auto shutter speed. And I do leave it in auto ISO. I'm about to talk about that in 1 second. But it might be the difference between an 8,000th and the 2,000th of a second shutter speed, which does make a difference when it comes to how digital the footage looks. Now, I also run auto ISO. Again, I don't want to be out here going through the menu, changing ISO 50 times while I'm trying to film. I'm trying to focus on what I'm trying to film, not messing around with the camera. So I typically on a day like today will run auto ISO between 50 and 400. You typically don't want the Osmo Pocket 3 going over 400 anyways. I'm so freaking hot. But just those things alone, using the ND filter in auto and setting the auto ISO will eliminate you having to mess around with the camera so much. And if you really want to make it darker or lighter, then you can just use exposure compensation. Now, the other thing is I do set the sharpening and the noise reduction to -1, but what about the color? Air conditioning. Now, in the case you don't know what your white balance should be, side note, you see how easy that transition was from dark to light, not to have to touch the camera at all? That's what I'm talking about. But if you don't know how to set your white balance, if you go into white balance, you switch it over to auto, right? Let me lock my face on real quick. All right, so you go into auto and let it pick the white balance, and then once it picks it, set it to manual and just lock it. And that's how easy it is. Look, 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 look. I love this freaking truck, bro. This looks so mean, y'all. I don't, you know, I'm not trying to brag or nothing like that. I'm just real giddy about electronics, vehicles, bikes, and I got this looking so mean, y'all. All right, let's talk about color for real. All right, so there's 3 color profiles on the Osmo Pocket 3. The first is normal, which is what we're using right now. Normal is a 10-bit color profile, but it's already color graded. You don't need to do anything to it, straight out of camera. It looks great, right? Then you have HLG, which is a HDR color space, and it's already graded also, but it's designed to be used on the HDR timeline and viewed on the HDR viewing source like your phone, a HDR TV, whatever the case may be. Then you have the third one, which is called D-Log-M. Now, D-Log-M is also 10-bit, but D-Log-M is super flat, so it's very, washed out. It's got no contrast, it's got no color, and it's meant to be that way because if you want the most color graded flexibility, then you don't want to bake all of those colors into the camera. And historically, I've always told you guys to use D-Log-M because you do get the most color graded flexibility. However, that does mean that it does need to be graded. But there's 2 issues with D-Log-M that are really starting to bug me, especially when I'm trying to go with this more auto type thing with the Osmo Pocket 3. Problem number 1. The Osmo Pocket 3 in automatic does something that DJI does not talk about. They haven't acknowledged it. They won't answer any questions on it. Is there some type of HDR action happening with the Pocket 3 when you leave it in auto? What I mean is it makes sure that the subject is exposed, and it also makes sure that the background is exposed. So I really like that. When you switch over to D-Log-M, however, you lose that. At D-Log-M, you have to make sure you decide whether the subject, I don't know what bug that was that just flew into my hand, but he almost got chopped. But you have to decide whether you want the subject to be exposed properly or the background. So whatever HDR action it does in normal color profile ain't happening in D-Log-M, which means more work, all of that other stuff. The second problem with it is the new 40mm tele option on the Osmo Pocket 3 doesn't work on D-Log-M. So there are times where I want to use the 40mm tele option and I can't because I'm in D-Log-M, and also some of the other options are unavailable in D-Log-M. So with that said, are there situations where you should still use D-Log-M? Absolutely. But you could easily just use the normal color profile, and it's 10-bit, so it can still be color graded. And if you want a good source where you can go and get a ton of saucy looks for the Osmo Pocket 3, you don't have to convert anything from D-Log M or nothing like that. You just literally drag them on top of the footage in whatever editing program you're using. Then go to motionarray.com. They have a whole section of professional quality LUTs that are made by real colorists, and the good thing about these is they all come in packs. So, you know, before I got into the LUT game, I used to go on, like, you know, all the websites, and I would have to download these individual LUTs one by one, and that is so annoying. When you can go on here and you get a preview of what the LUTs look like, you get multiple LUTs in the pack, and they're all included in the subscription, is a super easy way to add a stylized look to your Osmo Pocket 3, even if you are using normal, because again, it's 10-bit color. Obviously, you might need to tweak it, the taste and all that other stuff, but it's an amazing resource to go and get all the LUTs you want to. They have a ton of them on there. On top of that, they have your professional quality, royalty-free music, sound effects, plugins, overlays, templates. They have stock footage. They have the new AI voiceover and the LUT section, like literally everything you need, especially with you being a video creator. You watching this video, you have an Osmo Pocket. Everything you need for your videos is right on there. So I'm going to leave a link down in the description for you to get 2 free months on an annual plan with Motion Array. But this discount will not last long. So make sure after this video, I'm going to remind you again that you click the link in the description and you sign up for Motion Array. So Terry, there must be some type of trade-off, right? It's really bumpy over here. Sorry about that. So letting the camera do everything for you. And yes, you are absolutely right. So, number one, because we are letting the camera make all the decisions, sometimes while you're filming, you're going to see the camera making those decisions in real time, which can be very distracting sometimes. So you might see like the image get brighter or darker in the middle of you filming. This gets even worse when you don't set the white balance like I told you. When the white balance shift in the middle of a clip, maybe if you're filming outside and the clouds cover the sun, then that's gonna make everything look very amateurish, and it's very difficult to fix in post. Now, again, will people watching your video care? Probably not. But if you're anything like me, I at least want it to look decently good. I don't want to deal with white balance shifts and all that. So this is the price that you have to pay if you want the camera to be an automatic. Sometimes you're going to see those decisions being made, and sometimes it is distracting. Problem number 2 with running everything in automatic. We've already established that the best way to get the best footage out of any camera is to flip it over to manual, and with the Osmo Pocket 3 to also utilize D-Log M. Well, we're stripping both of those things away, so there's a trade-off that happens. If you want to get rid of all of the you having to freaking change ND filters and mess with this shutter speed setting and change this when the sun comes out, then yeah, this is the price you have to pay. However, if you don't want to deal with that, then what's the alternative? That means that you have to do everything in manual, which means you got to put a whole lot more work in. Neither here nor there. That's the trade-off that you are going to have to make when it comes to, do I want convenience or do I want image quality? Or maybe you run a combination of both like I do. For stuff like this, I'm not trying to do all of that tinkering and stuff. I just want the camera to do what it does. But there's situations where I do want sauce, and that is that's what I do when I need that. I'll flip it over. Let me be honest, y'all. Ever since I've started using my Pocket 3 this way, just not caring about all of the settings, I've come to love using this camera all over again, because I'm just using it for the purpose it was intended for, and that's just being a little pocket rocket of a camera. Amazing image quality, smooth footage. I can pack it away anywhere. It's something this small and this lightweight. It's just fire. And if I ever need to get that real saucy footage, I could always just flip it back over to D-Log M, flip it over to manual, and have a field day with it, okay? So if you have an Osmo Pocket 3, this is something that I encourage you to try out. Sure, there's trade-offs, but you know what? The benefit of just picking it up and let it rip, it might be creatively freeing for you, so test it out. If you have not signed up for Motion Array, again, I'm gonna give you 2 months free, but you gotta use that link in the description. You're a creator, you're watching this video. Stop going on the internet trying to get assets. You got everything you need on motionarray.com, plus all of the LUTs you can desire for your Osmo Pocket 3. Use the link in the description, get that 2 months free. And make sure you hit me up on TikTok and Instagram. I've been putting those on the screen throughout the whole video. If you like this video, make sure you hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you get notified when new videos go up, because we are almost at 100,000 subscribers, and I would love it if you join the family. So until next time, I'm out of here, Tight Shirt here at Warfield. Piece of chicken grease, much love, y'all. Peace.